Hi, welcome to this week's edition of Blue Sock. Again, John, Dave and myself are going to look back over Ireland's disappointing defeat to England, all the other Six Nations action, and of course look forward to our game against Scotland and all the other big games at the weekend. So boys, beaten by a better team, I think, on the day.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with that, alright. They had our number.
Yeah,
they wrote it down on a piece of paper and studied it for weeks, and it worked out for them. A few other things though.
They had a plan. They stuck to it. I mean, they identified, kind of weaknesses and went for them.
Mm.
Somebody said in commentary that it was the first time that they'd had both Vunipolas and what's his name, Tuilagi in the team, which. Jeez, that's a big boost for anybody.
We kind of highlighted those lads last week, didn't we?
We did. In terms of the game plan they were going for, and we kind of highlighted that as well. Yeah. I'm not sure we were expecting their blitz defence to be quite so blitzy, but we definitely thought they were going to go and win the collisions, which, by Jesus, they did in spades.
But in fairness, we helped them by setting up more collisions.
Yeah, but I thought that
should have kicked more.
We were tactically completely unreactive for the entire match. We did nothing to change what we were doing.
I expected Joe to come up with some plan in the second half, unless he's got an even more cunning plan that we don't know about.
I just thought that our kind of important players, Murray, Sexton, Henshaw, fullback, all coming in off injuries and hadn't played very much in the I know Murray's come back, but prior to that he'd missed quite a considerable number of games. Sexton hadn't played in 5 weeks. Robbie Henshaw played, 60 minutes against Wasps, since the autumn internationals. Even, say, O'Mahony had a little rib tickler again in the European Cup. So, those lads that normally put in monumental performances for Ireland were quite poor. But still, it was quite striking that they were the ones that seemed to have... And even Best was quiet enough as well.
Yeah, but look at CJ Stander playing on with two facial injuries, two broken bones in his face that he broke at the beginning of the game. How much commitment do you want? But you're talking about injured players. There's another one that was injured in the course of the game.
Yeah.
You had a situation where maybe, the only Irish players who played well were Ringrose, Van der Fleer and Rob Kearney.
So he was rubbing his hands together anyway, wasn't he?
They're the only ones who came out of that match with their reputations intact or enhanced,
Yeah.
Everyone else. I mean, we played poorly, but like I said it before, we didn't try and change anything.
Yeah.
We Plan A didn't work, so and it's something we've often accused England teams of in the past.
Yeah.
Plan A didn't work, so we gave it a bit more Plan A.
Indeed.
And we didn't try and do anything, and like England have those big carriers in the middle and stuff like that, and we just ploughed into them. Instead of trying to get outside them or try and change the way we played, or our kick chase game was negated by blocking.
Them getting in the way,
by them blocking, and there's nothing in the laws that say you have to get out of someone's way.
Yeah.
No. You're allowed to stand there.
Yeah.
So we did nothing to try and negate that or obviate that because we just kept. Doing the same thing.
But we were, my seat was quite high up in the East Stand, and you kind of, there was people all around shouting offside every moment, but they weren't.
No.
And even if they were, the referee was allowing them to be. So then we have to
could have
fight
been allowed
fire.
as well.
Yeah.
But we weren't. We're almost too disciplined that we stick by the proper offside line, so as we don't give away a penalty. But if the other team are getting away with it.
It's very hard to recalibrate that kind of shit on
I
the
know,
fly.
I appreciate that, but they just didn't give us an inch, and we were under.
I have to say, whatever we've started talking about things we didn't do so well and injured players. That was England did most of that. You're talking about them blocking our kicking game. They blocked every bloody other game, our possession game, because they ate us every time we got the ball. They just ate us, and I think that
they targeted our back three as well.
Yeah, they mercilessly targeted. Well, they targeted arrows. Did they were they targeting arrows, or were they just relying on Henshaw's lack of positional nous at full back, or what were they?
I think
a lot of it did go down.
I think they thought that they had the idea, which turned out to be accurate, that maybe Tom May or not
Johnny May
would have an advantage over Earls. which he did, and then Earls getting injured compounded that. And if you combine that with, you know, that the fact that the fullback wasn't, you know, supporting him positionally, because that's just not what, I mean, that's not him. So
there was again from high up on the stand.
There was acres of space in behind.
Of space,
of course.
And that's the one thing that.
But you got to be able to find the grass, and get the chasers into it.
No, what I mean is that Henshaw was leaving like.
All right, sorry.
Like when you see Carney playing, like it's almost like he's telepathic, that he's instinctively going
Drawn
to
to the
know
ball.
where the ball is going to land. You know, Henshaw, I thought, was found out.
Well,
I mean, I don't blame him. He hasn't played there very much.
played there in a long
But
time.
you are going to be found out when you're playing the third or the fourth best team in the world. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is the elite level. This isn't a Pro 14 match.
yeah, I mean, and the thing is, I mean, England have an elite set of halfbacks as well. You know, I mean, Farrell is,
Yeah.
you know,
Young's wasn't a great
Johnny
form
Sexton
going
with
in.
a northern accent, you know, and if Johnny Sexton can find those gaps in an opposition team, Farrell can find them in just as well.
He's a cracking player, and he's a cracking
Yeah.
captain now too. I don't think
Yeah.
Dylan Hartley's getting back in there.
Well, it was interesting to see at half time that he kept them all out for just 30 seconds and was really laying into them, as in, you
Yeah.
know, we've done this. And one thing I heard Ron O'Gara been interviewed, and I thought he made a very interesting point. Like, he kind of said that this was their Munster-Leinster match from 09, that they just fed
They
up
had enough.
losing and
Yeah.
had enough of being bullied and beaten by Ireland, and now that they, you know, so they had almost something bigger to play for than we did.
Well, we stopped their slam 2 years ago, ended their winning streak, which was 18 games at that stage, and last year we went to their fortress and kicked the crap out. Like, we really kicked the crap out of them. So
Yeah.
if that doesn't
And
motivate you,
not to mention, all the Irish teams have beaten the English teams in the last 3 years. I think there was one defeat and a draw in the last 17 or 19 games.
Yeah.
In the European Cup.
So the other side of that is, doesn't that make the defeat on Saturday even worse?
Possibly, but
You know, I mean,
like, you can't win every game. You know, like, we live in some delusional
no, you
cloud
can't,
that
you can't,
people.
you can't. But you should be able to put yourself in a position to do so.
Yeah, I
mean,
agree.
that's-
We never really looked like
We never
were
looked
that
like we made mistakes.
came back to within 4 points, amazingly.
You know, the selection of Henshaw was an error. Joe was too slow to make changes. You know, and he left guys who were struggling to struggle. That when it was patently obvious after 40 minutes or even 50 minutes, I mean, it's cruel to take somebody off after 40 minutes. I mean, Chris Thorns was injured or whatever, but to make it tactical at 40 minutes is quite harsh. But sometimes you have to do it. And there were guys who were patently struggling. I mean, we kind of come back into the game with that, with Healy's try, which we'll see later. So, if we'd been in a position to drive on in that, you would have caused questions in the English mind. But we took our foot off not took our foot off their throats, we never got our foot on their throats in the first place, to push down. And I think look, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like you say, it's not the end of the world. The team that hasn't suddenly gone from being a really good one to being a really bad one. The number of changes you'd make for Scotland based on, you know, anything, you know, would be limited anyway, because I mean, they are a good team and they're the best. They are the best players. But you know, there are lessons to be learned.
But in the greater scheme of things, especially this year, you'd wonder if what wasn't a bad result for us. And so, you know what I mean?
Wake us up.
Yeah, like, I mean, if you imagine if you'd won that game, just struggled by and won with a last minute drop goal, and then you kind of go on again.
Built the momentum.
But
Yeah, exactly.
like, would it not paper over cracks when you're like? I'd rather see us say, right, we've learned in a huge game, probably one of the biggest games that this team will play until the World Cup, that Henshaw is probably not the full back, or probably not as good a full back as he is a centre. So I'd rather know that
to be
now.
honest with you, Jess, I don't think we needed a game against England and the Six Nations to tell us that.
Probably
Well,
not.
hold on.
We all knew that.
Yeah,
The
but hold
dogs
on.
in the street
No,
knew that.
but Joe
Ah,
Schmidt
Mario.
went and selected him there.
Yeah.
So if Joe Schmidt selected him there for the Ireland-England game, there might be a chance that he might select him there for the quarter-final of the World Cup. And if he does do that, and he was exposed and we lost because... I'm not saying we lost on Saturday because of Robbie Henshaw. But,
no.
but Robbie Henshaw didn't have a fine game, and we've seen him play umpteen times in centre, and he's had fantastic games. But My point being that if you're going to select him at full back, I'd rather get it out of the way here and make it, Joe to say, okay, I made a mistake there. He's not the all-round player I thought he was. And we'll move on. And we'll bring in a full back, a more
But
specialist
would it not,
full
though,
back.
have been better to, if he was going to replace Rob Kearney here, actually pick somebody who, was maybe going to play well at full back? Like Joe Carberry or Will Addison.
Which see the problem
Sure.
with Joey Carberry is he hasn't been given the time at full back.
He was getting plenty of time at full back in Leinster.
I was teeing that one
Well,
up.
I wonder to a certain extent if there's an element of hubris to it.
Don't know. But like,
I
who
mean-
else is going to replace Robbie Henshaw or Rob Kearney at fullback? Will Addison.
Well, it's Will Addison. You've got
Joey
Will Addison.
Carberry,
Jordan
Jordan
Larmour,
Larmour.
we know, isn't the answer at this point in his career because we saw him against Toulouse and he was, pretty poor. But you've got Will
And
Addison.
Argentina.
And Argentina. And you've got Will Addison going well up in Ulster. I mean, Joey Carberry has been. He was going really well at fullback. I keep coming back to it. But I mean, you look at him against
But then who comes in and covers for Sexton? Like, Sexton rarely finishes a game for Leinster. So, who's going to be sitting on the bench to come on for him?
Well,
are you going to do a whole reorg? You're going to move the full back into 10 and bring on another guy?
Yeah, that's a lot to ask of Joey Carberry to be covering Sexton for the end of a game from fullback. Well, you see, this
the
is
second
it.
best
I-
out half an Ireland, perhaps.
I don't know. I don't think Ross
not-
Byrne is
not
an
in the squad,
international
though.
out half at this stage.
I don't think
uh,
Joey Carberry is either.
Well, I think he's got more. He's got more of the stuff
Colin
you can't
Inches.
coach, and he's got column inches. Ross Byrne,
But he makes things happen on the pitch. Ross Byrne doesn't. Really.
has he got the?
He cross kicks and that's it.
He's
He
brilliant
stands
at
too
it.
deep. He
Yeah,
does, but
but Joey Carberry.
He hasn't
That's
got the
the
pace
one
and he
thing- Tony,
stands.
he's
He
got
stands
one
too
joint-
deep.
Tony.
That's kind of a bit trite. He makes things happen on the pitch. Last time we saw him play out
Well,
half
okay.
for Leinster against Connacht, what did he make happen?
Well, I can remember him playing out half when he came on against Northampton and making a searing break through the middle, which set up a try that split their defenders, that beat one of the best Australian players of all time on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
Northampton in the quarter-final last. Was it Northampton? Yeah. Sorry, Wasps in the
Wasps
quarter.
when he was at fullback.
No, he came on
He
at
was
out
at
half.
fullback.
Out half.
He started the game against Wasps in the quarterfinal at fullback.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay, but still, my point is though, my point is, it doesn't matter regardless of it's the person that's doing it, Dave. It's not.
Yeah, no,
It's not the position he's coming from.
I have
It's
absolutely
the-
no problem getting Joey Carberry on the pitch
So that's what I'm saying.
at fullback.
But look,
And I also think that Joey Carberry is a more natural reader of the game than Rob would have been. But that's neither here nor there.
It's not going to happen this side of the World
No,
Cup anyway.
no, it's not because I think that Rob will be selected against
Scotland.
Scotland. I think the ship has passed on that one. Because
it'll be interesting to see because it can destroy Henshaw's confidence possibly.
I think
Well, if Ringrose is out, then it's
Yeah.
a no-brainer that Bundy Aki and Henshaw are going to
I don't
start in the centre.
and it was strange. Well, but the amount of time Bundy Aki was a
First receiver.
that was really weird.
Yeah,
Like,
I
if
couldn't
you,
understand that.
you could understand it if it was Henshaw,
Yeah.
and if he were playing in the centre, or if it were Ringrose who was that first receiver. Because, but Bundy Aki
Yeah.
is an
And,
object.
and you often hear far more enlightened pundits than we are say that he isn't a very good distributor, yet he must have received the ball 10
Yeah.
times at first receiver.
Well, the other thing is, I think himself and Tuolagi kind of
History.
negated each other a little bit. They were like, but they both had quiet-ish games. Like, it wasn't that they weren't shite or anything, but they were both relatively quiet for what you'd expect from them. And I think that's probably because they were opposite each other, taking each other out of it. So yeah, and if Bundy's getting the ball, who's going to be watching him get the ball? Only Tuolagi, and who's not going to be far away. But no matter who got the ball, they were double tackled.
Yeah.
And the bigger they were, the more they were double tackled. So they didn't have, like you said, Dave, they didn't have enough wit to get, or enough coaching to get around.
Didn't have the
didn't have the plan B.
coaching or just their own nous. They weren't using it for whatever reason. I don't know why. Because there are good players on that team, and like you say, Jason, all our leaders played particularly badly or played particularly poorly. Our halfbacks were I don't think I've seen those two play worse together before.
But they were getting that much time on the ball, and
Best
they were getting.
was poor. Peter O'Mahony was, didn't really factor into the game. Josh van der Fleer was spent so much time tackling he couldn't do anything. I mean, how many turnovers did we take? 1, 2?
Very few.
I mean, he was at the bottom of every ruck kind of thing.
Smith said that he felt that the energy in the dressing room was the worst he's seen it before the game.
Wow.
Which is interesting to hear from the coach, isn't it?
And a few people, well, I noticed that I was watching them coming out, and they all looked okay and fairly relaxed, and maybe they weren't psyched up enough, but Rory Best looked very concerned, didn't he? He didn't normally look that. He looked, even in the anthems, he was very grim looking or something. He looked like he had the weight of the world on his shoulders. I don't know what's was going on in his head, but you can read too much into these things. But normally when you see them relaxed, there's a balance there. You can be too relaxed, but normally when you see them relaxed going into the game, relaxed but focus.
Yeah, they did look tense. You could see there was a tension there that you don't normally see around that Irish team. Normally they're at the right pitch, and they did, for whatever reason, they just weren't.
But the other thing is England are not going to be able to replicate that game, no more than Leinster were able to replicate the game in 2009 against Munster, or not that they'll never replicate it, but they won't be able to replicate that every week.
That kind of, if as you say, you were saying about Rog, if that's true, and I'd say he's probably right there. That's a well you can only ever go to once.
Yeah.
Because once that monkey's off your back, it's off your back.
Exactly.
So you can't go there again.
But
But what it does do is it gives you confidence to lift yourself in other ways.
Well, they were the first Six Nations tries scored in Dublin by England since 2011. Steve Thompson. And
like
the last time a Six Nations try.
Last year, they finished 5th. I mean, I can't remember the last time an England team finished so low.
It was back in the 70s. Probably they were shite then.
Do you know what I mean? And when you consider they've been in probably 3 World Cup finals since '91, they've won 4 or 5 Grand Slams in the intervening years. Do you know what I mean? They're always there and thereabouts. They've obviously got the largest playing numbers and all the resources and so on. But for them to finish 5th with 3 losses.
Yeah.
They can't do that again,
No.
you know what I mean?
No.
But the other thing is, as much as the 50-50 calls we made, maybe in selection and the squad went against, didn't really work out for us. The ones that Eddie Jones did worked out for him.
Well, there's another thing that they had.
He even got to play Jack Nown at Oakenside briefly.
They had a fairly harsh yellow card. I didn't think that was a yellow card at all. Tom Curry, who played really well, he's 20 years of age, comes out of nowhere. Last week we're slagging them that they don't have their under 20s. This guy comes on and has a stormer, and the other guy looked like what's his name with the thick head, the 2003 World Cup winning 6, Richard Hill.
Yeah,
he had a Richard Hillness about him. I thought he was, their back row were the two things that we've slagged them about. In fact, as recently as last week, they don't have their best centre combination, and they haven't got their back row sorted out. Well, there's a bloody good centre combination, especially with Farrell at 10. Farrell is 10 now. There's no forward comes on at the end of a game. That's it.
You'd hope so. Well, for England,
if they've any sense,
you'd hope so.
And they've also, while they didn't have Underhill, your man's coming through.
Yeah,
is he's a godsend. So they got all their shit that they've got wrong for the last year and a half right, and they got all the players back on the field who weren't.
All their ducks in a row.
They got all their ducks in a row. Fair play to them.
What's your views on the forward pass, or the alleged forward pass? Was it or wasn't it?
No.
I don't think it was. No.
Was he offside?
Would have been harsh to call it back. He was maybe marginally ahead of the kicker.
The pass itself, the ball goes backwards out of the pass. Whether it goes forward after that or not, with momentum is irrelevant.
That's true.
It does go backwards out of the pass.
They did look at the head of the kicker thing. They didn't look at the forward pass. Yeah. So
you see, the ref might have been in a good enough position to know. If he saw the ball, if he saw the passing movement, then there's no need to go and look at it again.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, anyway, why don't we have a quick look at our 2 tries? Anyway, Healy got us off the mark.
Yeah, you thought it was all going.
I'm still not even sure that this was a try.
Yeah, it was. Was it Mako's hand underneath it? But the thing about it is, you only have to hit one blade of grass.
One blade of glass. No, you're absolutely right. 100% right there. So
if he
If
did
he
that,
just got the heel of the ball down, then
that's it. So that was one area we actually got them early in the game,
Yeah.
like, you know, and we got
I
back,
mean, that's 25 minutes, and we've had a bad start.
Yeah.
and we got
and we
back
go
to
ahead.
8-7.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
We never pushed on from there.
No.
I mean, and this was an area which I when I was watching, I had a sense of inevitability that the try was coming because Ireland generally always convert these.
Mm-hmm.
This was right now. I was on the 5 metre line up in the gods, so it was right under my nose.
Mm-hmm.
But you couldn't see Mako Vunipolas' hand from where you were.
No.
In fairness, the touch judge was around quickly and said, "Yeah." And Keane Healy shows we've seen it a couple of times actually. Great leg drive.
Mm-hmm.
From
Strong individual.
Your man's hand was definitely under the ball, but whether Healy got the point of the ball then or not, the ref was pretty much should have been able to see. I mean, his hand went straight up.
The touch judge was there straight away.
So, you know, I'd say that's a legitimate try.
We'll give it to him.
We'll give it to them. What I was going to say was earlier, the try. Well, here I'll wait till it happens and then I'll say it. But yeah, we should have done better from. Can you see it from that angle?
Not really.
No, I can't see. Did he get the ball in? Definitely a hand under it.
Yeah.
You can't see it from that angle. The one behind the post is the one.
It was a call that went in our favour, didn't it?
Yeah. What I was going to say, and this try coming up is what does it. If England had beaten us by 15 points or more, they would have taken our second place in the world rankings of us. Not that that really matters a damn, but, you know, if you want to take some kind of positive. This wasn't just a consolation try, it was also a try to spare our blushes. So we had a penalty coming there, allegedly. But we didn't need it.
Is that a good instincts from Nugget?
Yeah. What a man. I thought he was going to fumble that there, Mr. Cooney, but he didn't. Fair play to him. So that was the try that spared the blushes. And got us back within 15 points. Probably won't have any effect on the actual championship unless it goes on, unless we win it by 2 points and points difference.
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah.
Our only hope now is that Wales beat England and we beat Wales. That's. But the other thing is that England got the bonus point try off us.
Yeah.
That's disappointing, isn't it?
That's very disappointing, and that's very good for them. Like,
yeah, they got. We look forward to the other couple of matches. Look back at the other couple of matches.
Well, we'll take some questions first.
Okay, sure.
Yes,
Fire
some
away.
questions
Shoot.
from our beloved viewership. Okay, Alex Clark asks, how did England manage to slow down Ireland's ball so consistently? Ireland's lack of a plan B looks somewhat worrying when they're chasing the game. Yeah, we kind of mentioned the
plan B
A
thing.
again, plan A again. And how did they manage to slow down the ruck ball so consistently? They put numbers in it.
Yeah.
They did the opposite of what we do. We don't commit numbers to the ruck, and they did. They decided to flood the ruck on the basis that if they slowed down the ball enough, they wouldn't need the numbers out wide. I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that was the thing, and it worked for them. Ricardo Tiernig asks, when Irish players are getting taken out illegally, Rory Best trying to get the ref, for example, Jack O'Paper, to sort things out, seems like a mugs game. Does the team not need to sort things out itself, a la 99? Those days are gone now.
The
I'm afraid.
99 call.
99 call would end up with about 5 players in the
In the bin.
You just can't get away with that stuff anymore. You just can't.
No chance.
And if not the bin, then you have the
Citing commission.
citing
Citing
commissioner,
commissioner.
and that's probably worse because it tends to get a lot longer
Yeah.
than obviously 10 minutes. You might get 2 weeks or
Yeah,
more.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rickard also asks, Johnny Sexton goes around the whole time with a puss on. I can't imagine how this can be good for the squad cohesion at Leinster or Ireland. Should someone perhaps tell him to snap out of it? He's kind of had the same puss since 2009 and it hasn't done any harm.
Haven't been complaining all those Heineken Cup trophies.
I think it was maybe more pronounced on Saturday afternoon towards the end of the game because we were losing.
But that makes a good point though. Like especially when you hear say ex-players that have retired, they don't seem to enjoy rugby. It is a job.
It is, well, it is
But
a job,
they don't seem to
But
enjoy.
that's how you're good.
But they don't enjoy the victories. They
That's
enjoy
it.
the 15 minutes or half an hour in the changing room.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Like even at the pinnacle of, say, I remember O'Driscoll winning he won the Grand Slam in 2009. We won the European Cup later on that May. They came back to Dublin and he grabbed his bags and he was off down to the Lions
Right,
store.
sorry, yeah.
They just don't seem to get any opportunity to celebrate.
Well, you retired a long time, you know. You can,
No, you are, but I
you
mean,
can look back on it then.
part of the sport. That's part of the reason you're an amateur way before you are a professional.
You've put your finger on it there with one word, Jason. It's in an amateur sport, yeah, you can do all that and go out in the piss with the lads in a professional sport.
But they don't seem to get much out. Like they have a Christmas party, and then that seems to be all that they
That's
do.
it.
They just don't seem to have.
Like, look, Rog is a great example. Like, that guy was never happy. And if he had been happy, he wouldn't have been as bloody good. Like,
But
it's
can you
that
not
simple.
have a smile?
Johnny Wilkinson,
Can
there's
you not-
another great
Can you
example.
not have a smile? And
I don't know.
and be good.
Well, here's another one,
You
right?
can have a smile and be pretty good.
Here's a good.
But the
another-
guys who are the best don't seem to have too many smiles.
Here's another good angle. Like, it's a personality thing. Like, we can't all be Johnny Sexton, that driven, or Rog, that hungry, or Brian O'Driscoll. They were all driven. But look at Simon Zebo. There's a different type of personality. There's a guy who I'm not saying he's a good or a bad player. He's not driven the way those other guys. He's got a lot of natural talent, and he loves that. And he's frequently said how he likes to have his, he loves it now in France because he gets to play his own way, or he gets to play heads up, or he's not in a, he
So
feels
we're
like,
getting a few issues about sound, so we're just going to take a short break while I resolve them, and we'll be back with you in about 5 minutes.
sorry guys.
So sorry about that. We just had a few little technical issues, all sorted out now. We have a few more questions, do we, Dave?
We do, yeah. So we looked at Ricard's questions. Let's see, we have some stuff on Facebook as well. And I mean, we all love to talk about those old days, when they had 99 calls and stuff like that. But yeah, you're not allowed to do that anymore, so you're not.
Well, the point very quickly finish off the point I was making. All I was saying is that you can't help your personality. So in the same way that Simon Zebo can't help being laid back and whatever, because that's the way he is. He can, he can maybe try and be more serious, but basically he can't in another way. And same with Sexto, he is that driven, and he is that narky, and from all accounts, he's the most nicest bloke in the world off the pitch. Just when he crosses the white line, he's a looper, and that's his personality. And Jesus, it's won us 4 Heineken Cups, so.
Yeah, stuff we've done with him.
Stay mental, Johnny.
Back when I was at the Supporters Club, stuff we've done with him he's always been brilliant. Like, he's always been a really nice guy. So anyway, we had a couple of questions here. Andrew Potts asks, a coaching masterclass from Eddie. Discuss. Yeah,
It was.
It was. It certainly
Absolutely.
was. He coached. He picked out our weaknesses and he relentlessly targeted them.
Yeah, mercilessly.
Mercilessly targeted them.
Yeah.
Sean Smith asks, can we just focus on the other 2 games? Andrew Potts asks, how could MSM Rugby Mafia get it so wrong? I don't know what MSM is.
No, but
If you let us know what that is, we'd be appreciated.
we'll try that one.
Andy Crawford asks, can we focus on the City Arsenal game? We'll be interested to hear the lads' views on the back row contest. Porter and Cronin made more metres than the entire back row combined. Also, with impact players like Cronin, Porter, Carberry, O'Brien, and maybe even Cooney, was Joe too slow to react to the failure of Plan A? We kind of talked about that, and I think maybe he was. But then again, the other side of that is the guys on the pitch had earned a lot of credit with him. They would have a lot of credit in the bank because they've been through a lot of stuff and they've won a lot of stuff with him. So,
well, anybody who's watched Leinster, I know Andy is a particularly big fan of Porter, but and why wouldn't he be? But anybody who's watched Leinster recently knows what an impact that man has.
Yeah.
And he's like bloody Billy Vinapola of the front row. He's
it might be unthinkable to say
he
this.
can turn over a ball, he can smash people, he can do
12
it all.
months ago it would have been unthinkable, but he's getting close to Furlong.
I don't think so.
I think he is. His scrummaging has come on so much, you see, and his playing the loose has always been good anyway.
He's an amazing impact player, though.
Well,
to have a guy like him on the bench.
The other side of the scrum I thought was interesting was the reserve that They dropped Jack McGrath from
Mhm. For the killer.
for the killer. Thought that was an interesting call. I mean, he's kind of his star is certainly starting to fall.
Falling,
isn't
yeah.
it?
Well, considering he was a Lions player 2 years ago, and now he's not getting onto the Ireland bench all of a sudden. It's a temporary form thing, to be honest.
Yeah, it could happen.
Like, you gotta
you
reward-
get a few injuries and they back up, like,
Yeah.
and you just don't have a chance to get back into form and back a run of games together.
You also got to reward a guy like
And
Killer,
who's come
who's
on in
playing
leaps
well.
and bounds, you know.
playing well. I mean,
He's
he
certainly gone up a notch in my estimation.
still has a
Now
homing.
one notch.
He still has a homing device in his arse to find the touchline every time he's in the scrum.
Yeah, but if the thing is against England, in fairness, so that their tight head would be not dissimilar.
Mm-hmm.
So
They can have a game of arse
they
pointing.
can have a game of arse pointing. But yeah, so I mean, the guys who came on actually all within the scope of what it was, which was a beaten team playing against a team that kind of had taken their foot off the gas a little bit.
Mm.
They did well within that.
Yeah, well, you
Within
saw
that, those parameters.
you saw Cooney's try there. It was
Yeah.
Cronin that made the break
Yeah.
and popped it to the other reserve.
But like again, anybody who's watched Leinster recently seen Cronin do that 100 times. Like, he's just unmerciful for
Yeah.
making breaks like that, as well as his other duties.
I wonder if I can't see them dropping Best, but I wonder if there's coming a little bit more pressure on him now.
I'd say that I'd agree with both of those parts of your sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Niall Scannell, who was seen as the man to come in as next cab off the rank, hasn't been in amazing form. So you're going to have a bit of pressure now with fellas like Reece Marshall qualifying. There's stuff there for after the World Cup that obviously I don't think they're going to draft Marshall in since he only just about qualifies before the World Cup. But and same with John Klein. But there is a bit of depth starting to build at hooker. There's your man in Connacht, Delahunt is going well. There's a few guys around there. McCartney, I was surprised that Joe never, him being a Kiwi and all, that he never gave him a run even.
Yeah, he never seemed to push on.
Never favoured him.
Yeah,
I don't know why. I thought he was a pretty good player. He's getting a bit long in the tooth now. He's probably not going to get a chance.
Joe is not opposed to picking guys from Connacht.
No.
Some coaches have been accused of that in the past, but Joe isn't. So,
But yeah, whether they do anything with Best before the World Cup, I just can't see it. Like, it's just getting too close to be.
no, I don't see it.
Unless he has a major meltdown or big injury or something.
I'd say there's a lot of guys maybe against Scotland who'll be looking to
make a name for themselves.
either looking to restore reputations, or the coach will be looking for them to restore their reputations,
Big time.
and then there might be a because I mean, the thing about the game against England, and it's not to do down England's performance or anything like that, is every team has a dip, and it's only when that dip becomes a habit that you have to worry. I mean, if Ireland bounce back now and play really well against Scotland, against France, against Wales, then you can write it off as that blip.
Yeah, well, there's no point in getting too crazy when you look at everything that's gone before this one game. Sport is like that. Have a bad game, and it's a mood thing. But it affects all of us. Like, you have a bad game, or your team has a bad game. You don't have the pep in your step on the Monday morning.
We were kind of getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. We're going to win the World Cup.
Yeah.
It's kind of the way Irish people are. Like,
I don't know, was anybody saying we're going to win the World Cup? But
well, there's a lot of people saying that they're, we were the second best team in the world. We should be in the final of the World Cup. We played.
Well, my position hasn't changed.
There's
I'd
a lot
be
of
happy
people
to win a
saying-
knockout game.
For sure, but there's a lot of people saying it, Dave.
Oh, there are.
There's-
I mean, there are. Yes.
And then
You're
it
right, you are right.
oscillates. Then it completely oscillates to the
Yeah.
other, extreme opposite, that you're beaten by a really good England side that have got their shit together, and
you're
all of a
shit.
sudden, with the wheels have come off, and sack Schmidt.
I don't think
Okay,
anyone in
okay, I
Ireland
know,
has
but-
said that.
You're right. There is a kind of a binary view people take sometimes, that either you're the greatest in the world or you're the worst in the world. There's no grey area in between.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you see that in almost every area of modern life. You're talking about Brexit, for example.
Yeah.
So,
Would we take Theresa May? Hell, we take Johnny May.
yes, indeed. If we continue playing badly in the Six Nations, then something Joe will have to look at. But we wait until after the Scotland game. I mean, our hair's not on fire yet. We haven't even applied the unguent.
Right.
So moving on to
Well,
swiftly.
Perhaps another question might help us.
Oh, yeah,
move on.
fire away.
Have we got another
We have
question?
a question from Murdo Thompson.
Oh yes.
Good
He
man,
says,
Murdo.
or instead, he's replying to Al Sean Smith. He says, "Can we just focus on the other two games?" And he says, "Or maybe you could focus on Scotland's chances on their game on Saturday and where we need to improve to beat the opposition." And he says, "P.S. He's bringing his wife over to over for Leinster versus Glasgow, and she's from Leixlip. So when the tickets go
nice.
on sale, don't know when tickets go on sale, but get in touch with us. We go for a pint after that match. So
Yeah, indeed.
do please." So anyway, that's a good way of bringing us into our Celtic cousins forays against European opposition.
Well, we'll start off in the first match last Friday. What do you think of Friday matches? Do you favour
Don't like
them?
Yeah, I'm hot and cold on them.
There's quite a lot of empty seats in the Stade de France.
For me, a Friday night is for the under-20s and the women's game to start getting your drink on for the Saturday, which is when the real business occurs.
Well, rugby
You know?
fans are often slated for being very conventional in many ways, and why not have a Friday game? It's a bit of a pisser for the fans, though. In fairness.
But like you saw the stadium there was quite a lot of empty seats.
and
So
that
it's
place
obviously-
is so far out.
It's difficult for say Welsh fans presumably to have to get another day off or to take that day off to get there.
For French fans
Same
coming
for
from the
because a
south.
lot of people from the south of France. So
Yeah.
it's not ideal. Like if you had a match in Dublin or even in Wales on a Friday, I'm sure they'd probably fill it because the distances aren't as large. To
But
travel.
even if you were to have a Friday night match in Dublin, it'd be tricky enough for people coming from Cork or
of
from
course it
Derry
would, yeah.
or from it'd be
yeah,
hard.
no,
It'd be
definitely,
tricky.
yeah, I agree.
Wherever. Yeah.
But anyway, it really was. I mean, I thought when I was watching that match on Friday night, I thought, oh, this looks like the sexy French rugby's back.
For about 3 minutes.
Just thought was looking at Sella and Blanco and all the lads.
Well, you were looking at Entomac.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was a bit to mention him.
but only lasted for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
But they managed to steam into a 16-0 lead.
There's a good team in
And then
there.
steam back out of it again.
There's a good team in there, and somebody just sent me while we were on the air. Somebody just sent me a meme of Vahamaina, the French second row, and the quote is, "I didn't even know I was captain. It was the referee Wayne Barnes who came to see me on a penalty to ask me my choice. I told him to address the captain. He said it was me. The staff did not warn me." Vahamaina on confusion in the French ranks. Well, like that kind of says it all. Like, imagine that in a Joe Schmidt team.
No.
You don't know who's captain.
I think that's the level of professionalism and depth of preparation we've come to expect from our Gallic. Our Gallic
there
cousins.
you go. There you go. That's why they're not. But like, there is a fabulous team in there. Look at Toulouse, and there's quite a lot of Toulouse players in it. Look at Racing. Look, these are cracking players. If somebody harnesses their talent correctly, France are going to be unbeatable again. But it's a big if.
But it is interesting, especially with O'Gara now, having coached there and kind of been on telly. I heard him recently talking about the differences between what he was used to experiencing in Munster and subsequently in New Zealand, comparing it to what he experienced in his 3 or 4 years in France.
Yeah.
And he just said it's just so disorganised.
Yeah.
That if you want to do weights, you have to do them yourself. There's nothing organised. There's no, a rock up.
I don't think they're quite that bad.
We'll all turn up. We'll all have an extra session at 7 tomorrow morning. There's none of that. It's just if you want to do weights, then there's weights rooms inside. Turn up whenever you want, or even eating correctly. There's no nutritionist to tell them what. And he said the guys, all the players, are just dying for somebody to take them and say this is how you do it correctly, and they're hungry for that information. But there's no one giving it to them.
I'd say now they're all saying they're dying for it, but we've seen what happens with French players when they're actually put under a bit of discipline.
When their dessert is taken
They
away.
tend to go a bit mental.
But there's a bit of a difference between playing for the elite, which would be Racing and the Clermonts and the Toulouse, rather than the Grenobles, which are just kind of bottom scrapers.
Yeah, but I suppose if you're you'd be looking for any edge you could get. I mean, you look at the guys. I mean, admittedly playing for elite level clubs, but guys, the things that Donegal Callahan, he talks very funnily about. Fellas winding him up to make him do stupid things because he thinks it'll give him a little edge.
Yeah.
Cut out your desserts, lads.
Or a second one.
Yeah, it's not like he's asking them to go to take a vow of chastity and go live in a monastery, and you wonder how desirous they are of that.
Well, there you go. Somebody's going to harness those French
Oh,
chappies
somebody will eventually, yeah.
and make a team of them and look out world when they do.
Yeah. And see, George North is creeping up on O'Driscoll's record of tries in the Six Nations.
He's still only about
He's
20.
26 and 26.
I know.
So, obviously he's had a few issues with head knocks
Yeah.
over the last few years, but
It's ridiculous how when you think about that he is only 26.
Yeah, the amount of caps he has.
Yeah.
If his career goes on as long as, or to the age of O'Driscoll's, because he started young too.
yeah.
Don't forget, like he played. He was capped for Ireland before he was capped for Leinster, and he played at the '99 World Cup. Well, he went to the '99 World Cup.
I think he's only 20 actually, he got capped, wasn't he?
Yeah. George North, I think, was probably 18 or 19, wasn't he? But like, he's a lot of miles on the clock, and he went to the Premiership for a couple of years. He's, but yeah, you can certainly see him. He's got 8 years left if he's going to play as long as O'Driscoll,
Yeah. But like, I just knew watching that match, the France-Wales game, that France were going to throw it away. It was just so obvious.
There was a level of...
Written in the
At a
sky.
certain point there was a level of inevitability about it, yeah. Everything you say is right. I mean, everything John says rather is right. I mean, there is a fantastic French team in that selection. It's just a matter of getting it out.
And the other classic French thing is because they've 2 professional divisions and effectively 14 teams at the top. Even despite the amount of foreign players they have, they've got such a choice that if X halfback isn't performing, they feck him out and get Y halfback, and they've been doing that for many years.
Maybe that's not necessarily a good thing, John.
That's what I'm saying. There's no consistency.
There's no consistency of
there's
selection.
no run of
There's nobody saying to Para,
games.
right, you're our halfback for this season. Just play yourself in. You're the guy for the rest of the season. Because I mean, he could get the Shepherd's crook after 55 minutes and wouldn't be seen again.
Exactly.
And the guy who replaces him mightn't be seen again either. And
He's a lot of miles on
Like
the clock too.
there was a big thing in the 70s and 80s in Ireland, and probably the 90s, of the one cap wonders.
yeah,
There must be an equally big thing in France with the one cap wonders.
Or the 5 cap wonders or whatever.
but in France, it seems to be it's almost like those conveyor belts you see in Yo Sushi, where a guy gets off the conveyor belt into the team, and then he's discarded and he's put back onto the conveyor belt and he has to go all the way around, and then you see him come back after maybe 3 or 4 years and he's back
That
in
does
the
happen,
team.
yeah.
And I mean, there's guys. It's happened to plenty of guys. It happened to Machino. It happened to Freddie Michalak. It happened to Mignoni. All those guys fell out of favour for almost their entire career, and then came back into the team.
Yeah.
They were weird. It's weird.
Well, moving to the other game, Scotland Italy. Murdo, I'm sure, was delighted with
Yeah.
the. Was it 6 tries they scored?
He was delighted until Italy started coming back, I'd say.
Yeah, okay.
Italy were effective shambles
was it
early on, though.
3-3 with about 10 minutes to
Yeah.
go, and then Italy scored 3 tries.
Didn't they get the losing bonus point out of it?
No.
No, it was
No,
33-20. Was the
Was it
final score.
30? Sorry, I thought it was.
Very similar result to our own.
Yeah. I don't know why I thought that. Well, yeah, because I was in a pub. But it was good to see Ian McKinley come on and turn the match around.
Yeah. Whether it was him on his own that did it, I don't know.
I don't think it was,
It was good to see him come on. To think that he got his break in Italy because he wasn't allowed to wear his goggles in Ireland. It's a bit.
I was watching the game, and your man Jaden Hayworth, who's at fullback, he's deceptively slow. He really is. I mean, he seems to go. I mean, when he's running with the ball, I mean, it seems that he sucks the players into him even quicker. Italian selections are weird sometimes. So there. What happened to your man?
They're not Italian selections now; they're Irish selections.
Yeah, well, that's true. The guy who played fullback for them last year, wasn't he newcomer of the season? Was it Mazzoni or something like that?
Yeah.
A fullback for Italy. He was like the Italian Jordan Larmer. Great step, really pacey, brave as well, like a good fullback.
And
but
Bellini,
he's
the
playing for
winger,
Wasps, is he?
was flying.
No, that's a Campagnaro,
Campagnaro,
and he was
yeah.
playing on the wing. He was the kind of the Italian breakthrough player, maybe 2 or 3 years ago,
Right, yeah.
in the centre.
Well, Kinghorn scored his hat-trick. I think it was the first hat-trick, actually, of a Scottish player in the Six Nations, or even 5 Nations.
My wife never likes when I refer to him as your mate. That's the only thing I call him when Anyway, she doesn't see the funny side.
I wonder why. But he had a good. I mean, Scotland have a good team there. I mean, they have a certain cohesiveness because they're only really picking from two teams with a few gallo glasses thrown in. So, I mean,
I don't think Finn Russell would take too kindly to being called a Gallaglass, Dave.
well, that's what a Scottish mercenary. I mean, there's a
I
history
know.
of it in Scotland. I mean, it's not necessarily a negative thing in Scottish history. I mean, Scottish people have gone up, sold their services abroad historically.
That's true.
There is a cultural history there of people going overseas with their services in Scotland. So I don't mean it in a negative sense.
Good. Glad we clarified that.
Yes.
Murder's definitely not going for a point.
Yeah.
No,
That's
no,
it.
no. I mean, even down to professional sprinting, Scotland actually had a professional sprint circuit when professional sprinting was illegal. Anyway, there's a whole different thing.
Alan Wells.
No, I'm talking before that. I'm talking
before
50,
that.
60,
Okay.
70 years before that. But anyway, and of course the first professional footballers were Scottish, coming down from Scotland to play with English clubs. What was I talking about before I got sidetracked into
Talking about the
one of my bad? Yeah, I mean because
Two
they're
teams and the
all
Gala
picking from
glasses.
two players and a few extras kind of coming in. There's a cohesiveness there, and because Gregor Townsend has worked with a lot of them,
And he's a bloody good coach.
and is a very good coach in the past, and the other guys are getting well coached by Cochrane and have great confidence because they've been going really, really well. Scotland are in a very, very healthy place at the moment going into the World Cup.
If they didn't have the Gray brothers and, if some of their big beef out injured, I think they'd be a real threat to us. They're a threat anyway. Like we could
But
easily
we do
go
have
over
to-
there
we do
and
have to worry
lose.
about the Gray brothers, well, we would, because Devon Toner's not playing. I mean, have you ever noticed that Johnny and Richie Gray always look dreadful when they're playing against Devon Toner?
I think that's just Richie.
I think Johnny's had a few nightmares against them as well.
Anyway,
Well, Toner is only a doubt. I'm not sure if he's.
He is, yeah. If he's out or not, God, I hope he's not, because I mean he'd be a big loss.
Well, don't forget, we've already lost our
Henderson.
2 second rows.
yeah,
And obviously now we've got.
they've lost a few as well.
I actually was surprised. I thought Delan was selected on the bench
He
ahead
was.
of Quinn Rue.
No, he's selecting the squad ahead of Quinn Rue.
Yeah.
Quinn Rue wasn't in the squad.
Okay, so
Yeah.
he was subbed in then, was he?
Yeah, straight in,
Got
yeah.
into the bench.
Yeah.
Okay.
Joe loves that guy.
He does.
He does.
He certainly does. Well, he brought him over from South Africa, didn't he?
Yeah, he came over. Yeah,
Leinster,
he was
yeah.
Leinster. Yeah.
Well, I suppose this brings us on nicely to our match in Murrayfield next weekend against Scotland. So we beat them the last time out in Dublin, but then they did beat
They
us
beat us over the
2 years
there,
ago over there.
We don't have a brilliant record over there.
No.
But once again, it was the opening match of the season, and we are
Notorious
notorious.
slow starters.
Yeah, but this time we've got this is do or die time for
Yeah.
Ireland. Like, I mean, whatever about having a very tiny chance of a championship at this stage. If we lose this one, we've zero chance
Yeah.
of a championship.
I mean, in reality, we have to go over there and win with a bonus point if we want to stay in with a chance of
Pretty
championship.
much.
Correct, yeah.
Pretty
And
much.
that's, going over there and getting a win, no matter what else was going on, will be is bloody difficult at this
Like-
point in time against this Scottish team.
You get Finn Russell on the wrong day with Hogg in behind him, and you're toast. You're 3 tries down after 20 minutes. So
On the other side, if you get Finn Russell
on a good
and Brendan
day.
behind on a good day, you're not toast. In fact, you're wallowing in brioche.
Mhm.
So, well, that's the thing about Finn Russell. I mean, he can win a game on his own. He can lose on his own.
Well,
Yeah.
don't forget, there's also ramifications in this game for the World Cup as well, because we do
of course.
take them on.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what
Most
cities
importantly, I have no idea where we're playing them, but it's in Japan.
in Japan somewhere. But you know what I mean. You do want to sort of
Narrow that down well.
you do want to have the number on them. You don't want to be suffering a defeat.
I think we're playing them in the Mobile Suit Gundam Stadium or something like that.
Very good, Dave.
There'll be people out there who realise that's a joke.
Okay.
Who?
Other nerds.
Neither of us, obviously, Jason.
No.
It must be a gaming
Other
joke or something, is it?
Manga.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
But
so we have won. I just checked today. We won 15. I can't believe this statistic that we have won 15 of the last 20 matches against Scotland in the Six Nations since it became the Six Nations. Because when I was growing up, it seemed that Scotland
We
were
never won
always
over there, yeah.
beating us.
And even when we played really well, I remember games. Do you remember a particular game? I think it might have been in Murrayfield, where Keith Crossan and Ivan Tukalo, I think, both bagged braces. I think it ended up 34.
I was at that match.
27
It was in 91.
in 91.
Yeah.
Keith Crossan and Ivan Tuchel both had particularly good games.
Brian Smith was running the ball from behind his own line.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
like barbarians rugby. It was
It
fantastic.
was a great game.
Well,
but
except the result.
Except we lost. And that was no matter how well we played against Scotland, we always seem to lose.
Yeah.
But you know, it's going to be interesting to see because there are. I mean,
Can you see Smith making any non-enforced changes?
yeah, one.
Who?
Rob
Mark
Kearney.
Kearney. That's it. Yeah, you said it earlier, Dave. He's going to want people to prove themselves after, or so the other way around. He's going to give people a chance,
He might.
prove
He
themselves.
might also swap Henshaw in for Aki.
or he might have to swap him for
He
Ring.
might have to. I'm talking about unenforced.
Ringrose is claiming he has a stiff hammy.
Yeah,
So
that can go either way.
Yeah.
they don't tend to risk these lads. You know what I mean?
No
Like,
hamstrings.
they don't.
There is a week off after this one though, and then you're playing Italy, so you can afford to give 3 weeks rest to somebody like Ringrose before France. But anyway, that's
Well,
beside the point.
we'll
If he's not 100%, or if he's not very close to 100%, he's not going to play. I'd say.
Yeah, we'll come back to our game in a few minutes. Just briefly talk about the other matches. You mentioned Italy; they take on Wales. Can't see them really troubling the scores.
Well, they're at home, so
They
you know.
like again. You
Remember
kinda-
that game with Stephen Jones kicking where they were told that they could
go for the line out.
Yeah, and then they said no.
Yeah.
And they ended up, it was a draw, wasn't it? Or did they lose?
I think they lost.
They lost.
They lost,
And
yeah.
now I thought, oh well, Italy have beaten Wales a good few times. I just checked it again
Twice, wasn't it?
twice, 2003 and 2007. So, like Italy
It was
haven't.
2007 that
It was that
Stephen
time with Stephen
Jones,
Jones.
yeah.
So like they haven't beaten Wales, for 12 years
In
or
a
whatever.
decade.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting in Wales or in Italy because Italy's under 20s gave Scotland a bit of a beating.
Yeah.
at
And
the
they did
weekend.
well last year as well.
And they did well last year, and their two teams in the Pro 14 are going
Going
well.
yeah.
But the national team is probably
A shit show.
at the worst it's ever been. And the question, like, why didn't they do all the stuff they're doing beneath the national team 10 years ago? Because then the national team would probably be competitive. Because you've got a constant stream of players coming through the under 20s, and you've got your professional teams playing well, but they didn't. So, and now the pressure's really on the national team because it hasn't won a game in so long to win any kind of a game whatsoever. And there's a lot of pressure on O'Shea, and I'm not sure if it's right because I don't think that the uptake in the improvements in the structure of Italian rugby can be divorced from O'Shea's presence. But the senior team has certainly gone badly, and I don't see them coming within cooey of Wales this weekend. I think
No.
Wales will absolutely muller them. But it's Italy
Just never
in
know.
Italy.
You just never know.
Unless Wales decide to rest a few lads. But I can't see them doing the second round.
No, I
No.
can't
They've
see
a
it.
week off after.
Because Wales have
Not
been
gonna
stung
happen.
before on points difference.
Yeah.
This is the game where they can rack it up, So
And they've got a great, like Wales have the best draw. Once they got that French game out of the way, they've the best draw going. Like they've got
Yeah.
us and England at home. Okay, to travel up to Murrayfield, but I think that's in the break week, is it?
yeah, it is.
That's in the break week, or in the week where there's no game either side of it. So they can afford to go up all guns blazing to Scotland. Then they've England at home. So they're our best chance as well as their own best chance. Like they could be looking for a slam when we meet them.
But the other game that's at the weekend, England France. Like, okay, I appreciate it's in Twickenham.
No,
but
I don't think
France
England
did-
are gonna.
France.
So just to interrupt, we got a comment in there from Murdo in reply to what we're talking about Finn Russell. He says, "I think and hope is I think and hope is no long term flaky. A very good performance all round. Hoggy back to best. Johnson is the deal. Glasgow
Fans, I think he means.
no, but as Longhorn, silky and powerful. That's certainly true. I was very impressed. A last forward might be a problem. Too many injured, but rumour is Xander and Brown on Beck and Johnny Gray back. So if they get a couple if they get Xander Ferguson back, that makes a big difference to them.
Absolutely. And Johnny Gray. Johnny Gray is a huge player for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they can cause us a real problem.
Yeah.
I just it'll be unthinkable for us to lose 2 games after being Grand Slam champions, but
Stranger things have happened.
it could certainly happen, Like if we are not 100% focused
Yeah.
and have a decent game plan,
And
we're going down.
get selection right.
Well, we were talking about the England France game. I actually would.
Le
say-
crunch, isn't that what they call
Le
it?
crunch.
Yeah.
Le-
I think
Le crunch
that
de Brexit.
I think that France have a like. I thought I was very impressed in the first 40 minutes. They threw it away in the second half, but they're still there and there about there and there.
They like beating England too.
Well, do you know, they're one team that
The roast beef.
when England were at their absolute pomp, the French were not afraid of them and could take them on up in the back. You know, back in the days when Brian Moore and all these lads were playing, they definitely had the pack to take them on.
Absolutely.
I don't know that France have the pack to take on the current English pack.
No.
Did
What do
see
you
the
think your
size
man,
of the pack?
Bamba? Is it,
Oh yeah, I've seen
That
the
his
size
name?
of them. I know how big they are.
He's 20 years of age.
But I mean, England's pack is
Oh, it's ferocious.
big and
Yeah.
is equally big and better. You know, I think it's better, and that's the thing. I mean, I often say to John, like, big isn't good, and bigger isn't better.
Can I
I think the French pack is a very good pack, and I think we've seen it up close. A lot of them.
Yeah, but generally a big good one is better than a small
Yeah.
good one.
That's true.
Yeah, but if they're equally good, then yeah.
Can I take this back just slightly for a second? I was going to finish off on England when I said that they had a harsh card early on, but they also they took off a second row and then had another one injured, so they had to finish the game out with Nathan Hughes in the second row.
That's very true. Actually,
But, so they really
Had a bit of adversity
had
to
a
deal
bit
with.
of adversity to deal with. So kudos to them for getting through that. But the one thing about getting Nathan Hughes on is that
Yeah,
you've
it's a
got
big lump of
another big lump of a lad
Yeah.
in the game. Like we've got Billy Vunipola, you've got
wasn't like they were bringing on
Tuolagi,
Neil
you've got
Black
Mako
or something,
Vunipola.
you know?
Yeah, they were sticking Jack Nowell into the second row.
you've got Nathan Hughes coming on. So yeah, you've got a lot of huge pipe hitting lads to come on. So yeah, but I just think fair play to them playing with 1 second row.
Yeah.
From a line-out perspective, you know, you don't have that much cover there. You know, you've taken one guy. They took Cruz off, and they put Courtney Laws on, and then what's his name got injured, and he's out for a good bit, isn't he?
Jojo.
He's at 4
Told you,
weeks.
yeah. Anyway, sorry. Back to England, France.
I think England will grind them down.
Yeah,
I think that's what they'll do. I think France will go out there and they'll start, much as they did against Wales, full of the joie de vivre.
So do you think Wales are our best hope of derailing the chariot?
Yeah. The only thing is that
Think
Wales
so too.
also have a bloody solid chance of derailing
Our chariot.
the paddy wagon.
Yeah, but it's about going into the last game with something to play for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
You'd want that, but I mean, if you're going into a game against Wales on a points chase,
yeah, but are
'Cause these
England
matches generally come down to a few kicks, don't they?
yeah,
are England and Italy in the last game? That'd be interesting.
No, England Scotland, I think, is the last game.
Is
isn't
that the last
Yeah.
game? Okay. That would be interesting.
but
Maybe Finn Russell.
yeah.
can-
So I mean, the game against Scotland. To come back to the game against Scotland, I mean, we're talking about but there's enforced changes as well. I mean, Earls looks to be out. Conway appears to be out of the squad.
Yeah.
Certainly in the short term. CJ Sanders certainly
Definitely out.
out. We don't know about
Toner
Toner-
and Ringrose.
Toner and Ringrose.
Ringrose.
Yeah.
So I mean, even if all the guys who might be fit do come through, I mean, you still have to make a change in the back row.
Yeah.
hmm
And you have
Now, will they?
You could bring on a famous American television presenter, Conan O'Brien. You never
well,
know.
I mean,
Well, you see-
I'd bring them both in anyway.
Like O'Brien came on and played really well,
He did.
but he just had such little game time under
Yeah.
his belt. He had 60 minutes as well against Wasps 2 weeks before. You know, he just didn't have the miles on his legs.
I will be accused of having blue tint spectacles, but I don't care. My back row would be Van der Fleer, Conan, and Sean O'Brien.
Mm.
Only the other way around.
You reckon?
Yeah, I think O'Mahony
Don't think-
might be a shoe in
I
though.
think O'Mahony will be there, all right, yeah. So who do you drop for Sean O'Brien?
Well,
Well,
CJ's
who do
gone,
you
right?
not put
Yeah.
in? CJ's gone, so you got to put that famous television personality Conan O'Brien in, leaving out Van der Fleer, if you're not leaving out Peter O'Mahony, or you leave Sean on the bench and bring in, or You put Sean O'Brien at 8.
You have to bring one of them in.
Well, do you
Well, you have to bring
in
one.
the specialist?
I'd always go with the specialist,
So,
you're
O'Brien
bringing
is on the
Conan.
bench again.
such as life.
Yeah.
You have to go with the specialist at number 8. You really do. I do think it's a skill position. And I
Like-
do think you need a guy there.
Like, this isn't America in the autumn internationals. You have to win this game.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the season starts to unravel. You've
Yeah.
lost 2.
Yeah.
Then confidence could go. Could be, you know, the amount of pressure that'll start building. The media will get on their backs, and then
And we've already seen this season what happens if you play a guy in a position that he doesn't play all that often.
yeah.
You know, it's a Six Nations. Scotland are going really well. The pack is going really, really well. You don't want to be taking risks we don't want to be taking risks. And I think Conan is the lower risk selection. He mightn't have he certainly doesn't have the explosive power and all that of Sean O'Brien, but he's a specialist number 8. And I always think it's something Johnny Giles used to always say about soccer is you pick players in their right positions.
Yeah, well, there's 2 conflicting schools of thought. You get your best players on the pitch. See how that went the other day with Henshaw at fullback. Like that would have been people would have been looking at that going, well, look, we've got these 3 guys in 2 positions. What are we going to do with the third one? Put him in a fullback because he's a brilliant player. Get him on the pitch. And as you've just said, it doesn't always work out. There's got to be a balance there between people playing in their rightful positions and getting your best talent on the pitch. Get them on the pitch, provided they can do justice to the positions.
Now the interesting one is, I mean, and we're talking about this as based on that everybody who might be fit is fit, but you could have a situation where Devin Toner is out, and we've gone from a position
That's a crisis then in the second round.
kind of well loaded
Mm-hmm.
to been a bit under strength. But then if you think about what Joe Schmidt did during the summer, with guys like Alan O'Connor and Kieran Treadwell, you know there are guys there.
You'd think he's going to play Delan and Rude.
You would think he got, but you never know. I mean, he went with Root from completely outside of the squad before, so I mean, he's not beholden to that squad.
That's true.
Well, he picked that squad for only the first 2 matches.
Yeah.
That 35 or whatever it was, and then I know he brought in Adam Byrne and 1 or 2 others presumably as well. But like
Tom Farrell, I think,
that was only
yeah.
for the first 2 games. Then presumably there's going to be a similar enough squad, but a different
Revisited.
squad.
Yeah. But I mean, who would you start? Who would you guys start on Saturday in the second row if Toner didn't make it?
I'd have Quinn Rue and James Ryan.
With Delan on the bench.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I would.
And I think
Not disagree
then
with
my
that.
back row, I would agree with you. I'd put Conan in. I'd Hamani and then Van der Fleer.
And O'Brien on the bench again.
But I'd get him on earlier.
Yeah. Well, I know it's never going to happen, but I'd have O'Brien on for a Mahoney.
That's giving up your sacred cow.
Yeah.
He was getting his angry face on again.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it serves to cover a multitude when you do fucking nothing on the pitch.
But sure, he was throwing fellas into the ruck ahead of him. You know.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, well, we need our big name players to perform.
Yeah.
Well,
because
the thing
Scotland,
about
we've said
it also like just to go back to Omani. The thing is, if we're without Devin Toner, you kind of the one thing Peter O'Mahony's good at is winning line-out balls. So you need that option there. Because if you don't have Toner, I mean, you do need to spread your options then.
Especially if they've a Gray brother back.
Yeah, because I mean, Quinn Rue is many things, but an aerial athlete is not one of them.
Yeah, that's very true. So it's James Ryan or... What are they going to do this throw, guys? I think they're going to throw to James Ryan again. Shit. Okay, well, where is he? He's at 4. Okay. Let's put 3 guys at 4 and he won't care. Just put one of them at 2.
So you do. I mean, in fairness to him, he is a good line-out option. So that's something you might have to do if you're missing Tony, because you're going to have to win line-out ball from somewhere against Scotland.
Yeah, but I think ultimately we need our big players to stand up because they didn't last week.
Oh, we certainly do. Guys like Rory Best and stuff have to.
Well, I would be thinking like the spine of the team, our hooker, you know, our
Halfbacks.
Our halfbacks and our fullback.
Yeah.
Whoever the fullback is, I don't know whether he gives Henshaw a second go.
Depends on Ringrose.
I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. Because he's going to have to make a change on the wing, does he want 2 relatively inexperienced guys there in the back 3?
Larmour on the wing and Robin full back.
Yeah, I mean, he might not want to go with Henshaw plus, whoever he has to babysit.
Yeah.
So
Larmour against Hogg will be worth the price of admission.
but he might go for a power guy. He might decide to go with Adam Byrne.
You wouldn't know.
Does anyone know if Fergus McFadden is fit?
Well, whatever about Sean O'Brien coming in with no game time, I don't think Fergus McFadden is.
But he is the Queen
Sadly.
Roo of the backs.
He is.
Joe does love him.
We all love him.
I do. Well, anyway, boys.
The
as
sacred
ever,
headband. We have to come up with a term for like the sacred headband or something.
all right, boys, as ever, thanks a million, and thanks very much for watching. Cheers.